Yeah, so first we will see what is this hydraulic machine is. So as I have said you, either it will convert the machine which convert hydraulic energy to mechanical energy, or vice versa. I will write mechanical energy to hydraulic energy. Okay. So in the first category that is written over here, hydraulic energy is getting converted into mechanical energy. In this category, your turbines are coming, and this mechanical energy is connected to your generator, and that generator produces electrical energy. So this is the energy conversion which is occurring for the case of your turbines, or you can say your hydraulic machines. Okay, and for the second case that you can see here, where I have written your mechanical energy is converting into hydraulic energy. So, this is the example of your pumps. So regarding pumps, we will see them in detail in your unit number 6. That is, the first one is your centrifugal, and the second one is your reciprocating pump. Okay, so here also we supply some electrical energy, and this electrical energy is giving you this mechanical energy, okay, through the armature windings present in the magnetic field. Okay, so from there you get some mechanical energy, and that mechanical energy is used to get hydraulic energy, means increasing the energy head of the liquid. So this is your pump and this is your turbines. So in this unit, that is your unit number 5, we will see in detail of your hydraulic turbines. Okay, now I hope the meaning of what is turbines or hydraulic machines is clear to all of you. Okay, now I will give you a brief idea that what we are going to study in this unit number 5. First, there are some basic terminologies like what is net head, what is gross head, what is the different form of different efficiencies. Okay, so there are some basic terminologies that will be used. So I will write. First, we will see some basic terminology related to turbines. And after that we will see the different types of turbines. Okay, so we will see what are the different classifications of turbine. Okay, and in detail we will see the construction and working of your Pelton wheel or Pelton turbine. In bracket I am writing turbine. Since it is mounted on a wheel, so we normally call it as Pelton wheel also. Second, we will see your Francis turbine. And the third one, we will see Kaplan turbine. Now, try to see from where the questions can be asked in your examination. Okay, from examination point of view, we will study. Okay, so uh, normally if question is to be asked for your 14 marks, okay, let me change. If the question is to be asked for 14 marks, so there will be two part of the question, part 1 and your part 2. Part 1 can be your theoretical question. I'm telling you this from examiner point of view. If I have to set the question, or if any examiner is going to set the question, what will be his uh, strategy to prepare the question? And part 2 will be the numerical. So if you are thinking for theoretical questions, in what areas the questions can be asked? So questions can be asked from this location, basic terminology related to turbines. Here you can have different definitions of efficiencies, definition of different efficiencies. I am telling because we have here 4 different type of efficiencies. Okay, now there are some terms like what is net head, what is gross head. Okay, so those questions can also be asked. That all comes under this category. We will cover this part today. Another, if you will see, basically they may ask you what is the construction and working of your Pelton wheel. Okay, construction and working of any one of the turbine that I have written here. Okay, working of the turbines that I have written here. Okay, so this is the one question that can be asked. Besides this, if you will see uh, governing mechanism, very simple yet very important and scoring. Governing mechanism of turbine. Okay, I'm not writing turbine here, so let me write turbine also. Do okay. Then your characteristic curves. And some unit quantities are there. So their definition and very small numericals can be asked based on this unit quantities. So these are the different theoretical questions that can be asked from this unit. Okay. So if the total marks is 14, so it may carry 7 marks. Okay. Or minimum 5 marks, definitely it will be asked. Now the second part, if the numerical is smaller one, so it can be of 7 mark. If the numerical is bigger one, so it can be more than that also. So a combination of 14 marks can be asked. Now, from where the numerical will be asked and what will be its means pattern. So numerical can be asked from these 3 turbines. Now, what we have studied in unit number 4, if you recall, we were calculating some force, then we are calculating work done, then we are calculating efficiency. If you remember the way how we were proceeding to calculate this force, work done and efficiency, you can easily score this 14 marks also from this unit. Okay, so this is the entire picture, or you can say the blueprint of what we are going to study in this unit. Which topics are important from this unit from examination point of view, and how to prepare for your examination, because I think after 10 to 15 days your examination will be started. Okay, so now you must be very focused for your examination and seriously prepare for your examination. Okay, now we will start with your basic terminologies related to your turbines. I hope up to now it is clear to everyone. Is it clear to everyone? Please type in the chat box. CS clear, sir. I have given the blueprint of this entire chapter. Okay. So what I will do, I will now we have 2 weeks left. Okay, and we have 2 units also. So for unit number 6, I will take 1 or 2 classes is enough for your unit number 6. Okay, and for your unit number 5, I will take 4 to 5 classes. Okay, that's the end of your syllabus. So let's begin with your basic terminologies of turbines. So I will show you here on the screen. You can see a layout of hydraulic power plant is there. Okay, this question can also be asked in your examination. Draw the basic layout of your hydroelectric power plant. Okay, uh, specifying or labeling all important parameters. So you can see here clearly that a dam is constructed. A dam is nothing but an obstruction created to store some water. You can say it is represented like this. This is nothing but your water. You all have seen and visited some dams. So this location, the topmost location, is called as your head race. And as you can see, a big pipeline is there of larger diameter, normally constructed with concrete or very strong steel material. Okay, the water will be flowing through this. This symbol is represented that the pipe may be of very large length. Okay, to increase this total gross head. Okay, and this water is going, and at the end you have one nozzle. Okay, the function of nozzle is to increase the velocity. Keep in your mind once again, the function of nozzle is to increase the pressure velocity. So at the end you have one nozzle connected, and from that nozzle, that high velocity water jet is impacting on your cup size buckets. This is buckets or blades or veins, whatever you can say. It is hitting those buckets or veins or blades of this turbine. So this is your turbine. This circular wheel like structure on the periphery, those veins are connected. Okay, so this is the general layout of your hydroelectric power plant. Here it is written hydroelectric power plant. Now what are the terminology that you can see here? Here you can see HG. This is your gross head. This is your gross head. As you can see, at the top it is starting from the head race, and at the bottom the water is coming once again back to the sump. Normally we can see in our experimental language. So this is called as your tail race. This is your tail race. So this vertical distance you can see from the head race to your tail race, it is called as your gross head, represented by capital HG. Okay, now since we have so many constructions in between this head race and tail race, like you can see this penstock, this pipeline is called as penstock. Keep this in your mind. This is all our viva question for your lab examination. Penstock, this large diameter pipeline which connects the dam, which gives the way to water to flow and strike the blade of the turbine. This is called as your penstock. Okay, this is your dam, and you know that if there is some pipe, okay, there will be some losses. in your pipe, we have seen there can be frictional losses, that is called as major losses, and there can be some minor losses also. So that losses we have considered here, that is represented by HF. We are considering that this much amount of head is lost due to your friction. Okay, so if you will subtract this HF, that is your frictional loss, from your gross head that I have written here, what you will get is your net head. Net head represented by capital H. Capital H equals to Hg minus Hf. That is nothing but H is your net head equals to gross head minus frictional losses. Okay. So in examination for short question, gross head can be asked. What do you mean by gross head? So you have to write the difference between headrest level and the tailrest level when no water is flowing is called as your gross head. It is represented by Hg. I can see 19 series 310 raised hand. Is there any issue? 310?
Sir, what is head?
Head. Okay, very good. So as you can see from the beginning, when we have started this fluid mechanics, from the beginning we are using this term head. Okay, so this is nothing but basically you can say it is a energy level we can consider. Okay, like in your Bernoulli's equation you have seen it is the sum of pressure head, kinematic head, and datum head. Okay, so it is nothing but you can say as energy contained in the fluid. Okay, so if you will see here at this location, at top location, headrest means at top location, we have potential energy due to its height. Potential energy is energy by virtue of its height, and through that height that fluid is flowing through this penstock, and at the end we have this nozzle. So as soon as this water is coming down and down, that potential energy is getting converted into your kinetic energy by virtue of its motion. Okay, so that energy term is called as your head in your fluid mechanics. Okay, is it now clear?
Sir, it is only energy or energy per unit weight?
Energy in terms of column of your water level. Okay, normally whatever we calculate, if you will see the atmospheric pressure, we take it in 760 mm of Hg. So head we consider, if you will see the unit, it is in meter. Okay, so we convert that energy in terms of level of water. Okay, as a standard procedure. Got my point?
Sir, but it is energy per unit weight. I have listened.
Energy per unit?
Weight
Energy per unit weight
is called head.
is called head. Yes, it is correct. It is correct. Okay.
Yes, sir.
This is the gross head and the net head. Normally, we will use this term while solving this numericals based on your turbines. Okay. So, we have seen the layout of your hydraulic power plant. Okay. Now, what is net head? I have already told you it is the effective head that is available, or we can say in simple terms, if I have to say, that it is the difference of your gross head minus your frictional losses. Okay, so here you can see the statement. It is defined as the head available at the inlet of the turbine. Okay, at the inlet of the turbine, the head available when water is flowing from headrest to the turbine. A loss of headrest, a loss of head due to friction will be there between the water and the penstock. Okay, so though there are other losses also, that is your loss due to bend, pipe fittings, and losses at the entrance of the penstock, etc. Yet they are having small in magnitude. as compared to the head loss due to friction. Okay, so this is why we call this frictional loss as your major loss, and those losses due to pipe bends, pipe fittings, entrance and exit, they are minor loss. So we will consider loss head due to friction. We subtract that HF from this HG, and you will get net head available at the turbine. If you will remember, uh, we have seen the formula for your HF, that is your frictional loss, is equals to 4FL V square upon 2 into G into D. Here square term is there. Okay, so this formula you must get by heart, because this formula, based on this formula, one numerical will definitely be asked. Definitely. 4FL V square upon 2 into G into D. Okay, so this is your loss of head. So definition of net head. Now coming to the efficiency. These are the 4 efficiency terms, very important for your examination point of view, theoretical question. So they will ask you what is meant by ABCD. In ABCD, hydraulic efficiency, mechanical efficiency, volumetric efficiency, and overall efficiency will be written. Okay. So first, try to understand what is this hydraulic efficiency is. Okay. So let's see what it is written. Hydraulic efficiency is defined as the ratio. Always remember that any efficiency is your ratio. Okay. Ratio of what? Output upon input. Okay. So it is defined as the ratio of power given by water to the runner. This word is important. It is the ratio of power given by water to the runner. The water jet is striking those turbines. Okay, so here for that turbine, this term is used, that is your runner. Okay, so the water, the power given by the water to the runner of a turbine. Okay, runner is the rotating part of the turbine, on the runner vanes are fixed. 2, ratio between, this is the first numerator, 2, the power supplied by the water at the inlet of the turbine. Okay, so these are the two terms. The first one is your power given by the water to the runner, and the second is power supplied by the water at the inlet of the turbine. The power at inlet of the turbine is more, and this power goes on decreasing as the water flows over the vanes of the turbine due to hydraulic losses. There will be some hydraulic losses as the vanes are not smooth. Okay, so whatever the water is coming from the penstock and it is hitting that runner, the power of that water, it will be little bit reduced when the power is going to your runner movement. Okay, hence the power delivered to the runner of the turbine will be less than the power available at the inlet of the turbine. So mathematically you can write, it is represented by eta H equals to power delivered to the runner, in simple language, upon power supplied at the inlet. Okay, runner power, this is Rp upon water power. So this is your hydraulic efficiency. Now, coming to the mathematical part of this, okay, if you remember, we have derived the power generated for your power generated, this expression we have seen, this one, per unit weight. W into VW1 U1 plus minus of VW2 U2 upon 1000 kilowatt. Okay, this is the power delivered to the runner. We have derived it in your unit number 4. Okay, so this we are taking for radial flow turbines, because U1 and U2 are different. So we are taking it, writing here as U1 and U2. Whereas for the case of Pelton turbine, U1 and U2 will be the same. So U we have taken outside as common. Okay. And this is WP is your water power, that is your weight of the water. striking the veins per second represented by capital W into your height H, that is your net head. Okay, so this you can put in your ratio and you will get your hydraulic efficiency. The terminologies, their nomenclatures are written over here. Second one is your mechanical efficiency. The previous one we have seen is your hydraulic efficiency. Okay, so hydraulic efficiency was runner power upon water power. Keep that in your mind. Hydraulic efficiency was runner power upon water power. I will write here eta H equals to runner power upon water power. Now see, what is mechanical efficiency? It is the power delivered by the water to the runner of turbine. The power delivered by water to the runner of turbine is transmitted to shaft of the turbine, okay, due to some mechanical losses. In the previous case, what was the cause of loss? Cause was the vane surface are not smooth, so there were some frictional losses on when the water is flowing over the veins. Here, due to mechanical losses means the shaft is there in the bearing, okay, so there will be mechanical losses and the power available to the shaft of the turbine is less than the power delivered to the runner of the turbine. Okay, so the ratio between, you can say, the shaft power to the runner power is your mechanical efficiency. Runner power is nothing but the power that water is delivering to your runner, okay, and that runner is connected to your generator through the shaft, okay. So there are some losses, mechanical losses. Due to those losses, the shaft power will be little bit lesser than your runner power. So the ratio between shaft power to runner power is called as your mechanical efficiency. This is the second efficiency. So I will write here eta M I will write for your mechanical efficiency. It is nothing but shaft power upon runner power. Okay, sorry, this should be P. I have written R. Runner power. Okay. Now, if what will happen if I'll multiply these two terms? Okay, I'm writing one term that is eta. I will write the suffix as overall. Overall efficiency, I will write eta hydraulic efficiency into eta mechanical. Okay, so what is your eta hydraulic? Runner power upon water power into, this is your shaft power upon runner power. So you can say this will be cancelled and you will get shaft power upon water power. Just for in memory, I am telling you overall efficiency. If you will say overall, so it will be nothing but the shaft power and water power. Entry and the exit. Okay, entry is your water power, exit is your shaft power. So that is your overall efficiency. We will see in the next slide. First, see what is this third efficiency, that is your volumetric efficiency. Volumetric efficiency represented by your eta V. The volume of water striking the runner of a turbine is slightly less than the volume of water supplied to the turbine. Some of the water is discharged to the tail race without striking the runner of the turbine. Thus, the ratio of volume of water actually striking the runner to the volume of water supplied to the turbine is called as your volumetric efficiency. Okay, so this is your volumetric efficiency. So try to understand what is this volumetric efficiency is. As we have seen from the head race, the water is coming through your penstock and it is going, and one nozzle is connected at this location, and from that nozzle high velocity jet is striking your bucket that is installed on your circular runner of your turbine. Okay, and that water is striking, but here I have represented that water with a single line, but normally that is not a single line. Okay, it will be of some diameter range. Okay, so some water will be striking your buckets, and some of the water will go to your tail race. This is your tail race, this is your head race, this is your penstock. So some of the water will go to your tail race without striking this bucket. Okay. So the actual amount of water that is hitting this veins of your runner is less than what is supplied, the total supply or total volume of water supplied to the turbine. So this volumetric efficiency is volume of water actually striking the runner to the volume of water supplied to the turbine. So this ratio is called as your volumetric efficiency. Okay, so this is your third type of efficiency used in your turbines. Now, come to your overall efficiency. Overall efficiency means what input we have given and what output we are taking. So, as if you will see in the previous slide, one schematic representation I have drawn here. Okay, at this location, if you will see, this is your headdress or the water power that we are providing. So this is your water power, and at the output side or outlet side, this shaft will be connected to your generator. So what energy we are getting at the output? Output we are getting shaft power. In between we have this passage or the way through which water has to travel for different energy conversion. Okay, so in simple terms we can say the overall efficiency is defined as the ratio of power available at the shaft of the turbine to the power supplied by the water at the inlet of the turbine. Okay, so we can write overall efficiency as eta O is equals to your volume available at the shaft of the turbine to the power supplied at the inlet of the turbine. Okay, so in simple words, we can write it as shaft power short, we can write SP and by your water power. Okay, so what we have written in our previous slide, same they have written here, because they may in the examination they may ask you to prove this overall efficiency is nothing but the product of mechanical efficiency into hydraulic efficiency. So then you have to write this part. Okay, so we know that overall efficiency is shaft power upon water power. So we can multiply this runner power in the numerator as well as your denominator. We are multiplying this runner power. If we will reshuffle it and we'll bring this shaft power and runner power on one side and this runner power and this water power on one side, so you will get this as your mechanical efficiency and this is your nothing but your hydraulic efficiency. Okay, so this is called as your overall efficiency. So these are the four different terms that is normally used in your turbines for different type of efficiencies. Is this clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Now we will see the next topic, classification of turbines. Okay, we all have heard of these three different type of turbines. In the first slide I have shown you, that is your Pelton wheel I have written, then your Francis turbine, and the third one is your Kaplan turbine. Okay, so all these three turbines comes under these categories. Okay, so first see what are the classification based on different categories. Okay, So this can be also one of the theory question. Write the classification of hydraulic turbines. Okay, so based on and the type of energy, you have impulse turbine and reaction turbine. Okay, based on the different type of energy. So in impulse turbine, the energy available is only kinetic energy, whereas for your reaction turbine, you have pressure energy as well as kinetic energy both at the entrance of your turbine. Okay, so based on the different type of energy, this is your classification: impulse turbine and reaction turbine. Very important for your Viva question: what is the difference between impulse and reaction? Both we will see in detail when all the construction and their velocity diagram we will go through it. Okay, then after that you yourself will tell me what is the difference between this impulse and reaction turbine. For time being, you keep in your mind an impulse turbine at the inlet, you have only kinetic energy, and for the case of your reaction turbine, the water possesses kinetic energy as well as pressure energy both. Okay, so as the water flows through the runner, the water is under pressure and the pressure energy goes on changing into kinetic energy. Okay, so these details about this reaction turbine, their construction, we will see in detail when we will see your Francis and Coupland turbines. Okay, likewise, based on the direction of flow through the runner, means at where the water is entering into your turbine and where is its outlet. Okay, so direction, based on the direction of flow, if the water is hitting your turbine blades tangentially, so it is called as your tangential flow. When it is radial, okay, means it is entering radially from it may inlet from inward to outlet or outlet to the inward side. Okay, so that type of flow is called as your radial flow turbine. I will show you the animations of these different type of turbines also for better clarification. And then third is your axial flow turbines, in which the liquid will be entering through the axis, and the outlet will also will be axial, so that is called as your axial flow. When there is a combination of these two, radial or axial, that is called as your mixed flow turbines. Okay, now based on the head available at the inlet of your turbine, means high head turbine, low head turbine, or medium head turbine. Okay, so based on the availability of head at the entrance of your turbine, the turbines are classified as high head turbine, medium head turbine, and low head turbine. So this is your third classification. And the fourth one is your based on your specific speed. What is this specific speed? We will see that in detail, okay, in the later part of this chapter. Based on that, the turbines are classified as low specific speed, medium specific speed, and high specific speed. Okay, so one by one we will see all of them. Here you can see a construction of Pelton turbine. Okay, so here also theoretical questions are asked. As I have told you earlier also, that explain the working and constructions of a Pelton turbine with Nitz gauge. In that situation, you have to draw this figure. As you can see, this is the penstock. The water is coming from your headrace, and here one sphere is there. You can see here. It is conical in nature. This is nothing but it is used to regulate the flow of water through this nozzle. Okay, what amount of water you want to ejected from this nozzle, we control it using this device that is called as your spear. And how to regulate the motion of this spear when high discharge of water is required, when less amount of water is required, that we will study in your governing mechanisms. In your governing mechanisms, we will see the motion of this spearhead. Okay, now this jet of water is striking this buckets or veins of your runner, and this is the central location. You can see one shaft is there. This is the hatched portion, and this is the outer casing. Okay, so in your Pelton turbine, it is basically a tangential type. As you can see here, the water is striking the veins tangentially. Okay, so this is your tangential type of turbine, tangential and impulse also. As I have told you that in impulse turbine, we have only kinetic energy. Only kinetic energy. Okay, the water coming through this penstock and it is striking with some velocity. Okay, and it is open to atmosphere. So at this location also, when the water is striking these veins, the pressure is nothing but atmospheric. Okay, so in the difference between this Pelton wheel and your reaction turbines, we will see in later part of this chapter, is that it is open to atmosphere, whereas in your reaction turbines, that will be enclosed in airtight vessels. Okay, so there the temperature difference will be there. It means for reaction turbine, you can keep in your mind, in reaction turbine, there will be kinetic energy plus pressure energy, combination of two. So this is the one difference that you can keep in the mind. Okay, afterwards we will summarize them point by point. What is the difference between impulse and reaction turbine? So the different construction details, you have to draw this figure if theoretical question is being asked, and you have to write one or two line statement. Okay, don't write the complete story. You write short and precise answer, I'm telling you. Okay, to the point. What is this penstock? What is the nozzle? What is the working of it? What is the casing? What is veins, runners, jet of water, spheres? Okay, 2 to 3 lines, not more than that. So that will be your constructional details of your Pelton wheel. This casing, the function of this casing is your, here you can see one casing is there, is to prevent the splashing of water and to discharge the water to the tail race. When it will strike the bucket, the water will be splashed in all the directions. So to avoid that, this casing is provided. Okay, so this is regarding your constructional details. Now we will see the velocity diagram, very important part, because if you draw the velocity diagram correctly, okay, then half of the work is over, because after that you have to use your what we can say, basic trigonometry. Only basic trigonometry is required after that. So as you can see here, the buckets or the veins of a Pelton wheel, it is in terms of this bucket which is splitted at the center. Okay, this is the front view of your bucket. Okay, and this is your side view, as you can see. So waters are coming and striking like this. So here your theta and alpha angle that we have seen in your if you remember in unit number 4. Okay, in the same way you have to draw your velocity diagram, velocity triangle here also. And again I'm telling you, this velocity triangle is very, very, very important. If you have drawn this velocity triangle correctly, then your numerical is over. You can draw that. Okay, so once again I am telling you, or just for memory, I am giving you how your inlet triangle was. We have seen in your unit number 4. This one was your v1, means it is representing the velocity of the jet, and it was making an angle alpha. Okay, and this side it was representing the velocity of your bucket or vein, represented by u, small u. When you will connect this, this is nothing but your difference vectorial difference of the velocity of water jet and your bucket speed. So here you will get relative velocity VR1, and it was your theta. This is your alpha angle, this is your theta angle, and the horizontal and vertical component of your V1 is your VF1, is your vertical component, and VW1, that is your whirl component, is your horizontal component. So this you keep in your mind always. Remember it. Okay. Similarly, on the outlet side, you can see here, this is your outlet triangle. Okay. So I will draw here so that you can revise it in your memory. This is your outlet triangle. Okay. This VR2 will come since it is tangential. Okay. So always remember here, this will be your VR2. Okay. And there will be some vane velocity U2. From this U2, you can connect this one, you will get V2. Okay. And always remember, with V1, you have alpha. So with V2, you have beta. With VR1, you have theta. So VR2, you will be having phi. Okay, theta, phi, alpha, beta. Now this will be your horizontal component of your V2, that is VW2. And this is your vertical component, that is VF2, or also called as flow component. So this is how you can see here velocity diagram is drawn. Only case for this Pelton wheel, you have to keep in your mind this theta and alpha. Alpha as well as theta both are 0 degree. Okay, so it will be nothing but V1 will be a straight line. Okay, now this will be your U1 up to this location. After this, we will be having VR1, that is nothing but the difference of V1 minus U1, that is your VR1, and this entire will be your VW1, and VF1 for this case will be 0. Okay, similarly, the same what I have shown you here, that is your outlet side triangle. If you have drawn this, rest we have to do the same what we have did in your unit number 4. We have to use the trigonometric relations and we have to solve the numericals. So today I will stop here. In the next